Hello everybody, we're back. And Heather, I got a question for you. You've learned an awful lot about engineering. How are you making out on your navigation?
I think I'm doing pretty well because we made it here to DeAngelo today, and we are with the CEO, Justin Montez of DeAngelo Marine Exhaust. Justin, how are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. Happy to have you guys here.
We're happy to be here, Justin.
Right.
So from what I understand, you're going to give us a little sense of how we get the water and the air out without it landing in the bilge.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're going to do.
Wonderful.
Ready to get
Let's
started?
go in and take a peek.
All right.
Let's go.
Wonderful. I think it's, everybody's starting to realize these days, one of the biggest challenges that we're facing in the marine industry is parking. Holy mackerel, everything is so busy, there's no place to park anymore.
Yeah, we're crammed on space here, that's for sure. If you want, we can start in the stock room. I'll show you a little bit what we got in there. And
Wonderful.
There.
Let's see what we've got to work with.
Sure, follow me.
Let's go.
All right, so this is where we keep most stock components, everything that we'll need to turn, like an engineered drawing of a exhaust system into an actual exhaust system.
Okay, so after you've started to fabricate the products into semi-components, you'll put them in inventory here so that you can pull them ready to go.
Correct, the high usage stuff, anything that we need to make the process quicker and better, we stock it here, we identify.
Okay, all right.
So, just a bunch of raw material. We
you-
manufacture our own elbow sizes, so we stock the high usage ones here.
Okay,
Come through here.
that's a big gasket.
We got all kinds of things from, small little flanges to bigger little flanges or anything really that we need.
Okay,
Stock it here.
and here we've got some parts that are already fabricated, so it would seem that this is something that you get a lot of call for and you want to have them ready for on demand.
Sure. Real simple parts or high usage parts that you say we'll stock here in our stock room, as you can see.
For a 6-cylinder Cummins or something
Right.
like that you get a lot of call for.
That's
because
exactly
there's a lot
right.
of them in the field.
Yeah, a lot of stuff for the engine manufacturer, stuff like that is just right off the shelf. We're able
Okay.
to do it that way.
Well, how many years have you all been in business?
Woo! Since the late 70s, I believe we officially were a company.
Okay.
We've been
so
here
with,
for
with over 30 years,
over 30 years,
of
yeah.
history, you've developed a reputation and a relationship with a lot of manufacturers.
Sure.
So they call you when they need another part, you got them ready to go.
Exactly. We have a large database, all different type of engine packages, all different kind of boat builders, whatever the application. We've done it before, or we have a
From
drawing
my personal
of it.
experience, I've had situations where I had clients that needed something. I picked up the phone and called one of your guys for an older boat. They had the drawings on file. They were able to pull the drawings out, set up the jigs, weld up the parts, and ship them.
So we like to hear, yeah. That's
Awesome.
exactly right.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We've got an idea that you guys keep a lot in inventory. We're going to move out onto the floor. Let's go see if we can find Keenan, because
Sure.
I think Keenan's going to take Heather with him, and we'll go walk the floor.
Sure, yeah, Keenan.
All right.
Wonderful.
Let's go get him.
Now, I heard this company started out of a garage.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, the founder, the aviation guy, started welding exhaust systems in his garage and turned into this.
Wow.
Incredible.
So interesting journey.
Well,
But
here's Keenan here.
we got Keenan, our technical
Keenan.
sales guy. He's
Great.
involved heavily with all the regulations with the IMO and the DPF and the SER kind of stuff. So
Okay. Well, that's going to be another part of our conversation today. So here's what we're going to do, Heather. You're going to go with Keenan. Keenan's going to give you a little primer on how we're dealing with the new regulations and what we're doing to comply with those regulations for OEM manufacturers.
Right
so
up my
I'm
alley.
going to let you guys head off into the conference room. Justin and I are going to head out onto the floor. We're going to see how all this stuff is made.
All right. We'll
Sounds
catch
good.
you later.
All right.
All right,
See you guys
see you
in a
guys.
bit.
So yeah, what you'll see over here is you'll see a bunch of
Here's
parts.
a component ready for shipping.
Yeah, so you'll notice that our whole setup is a nice flow. We're start to finish, very fluid.
Okay.
Everything comes back up here ready to ship.
Out to the front and out the door.
So you'll see a bunch of stuff on carts and whatnot.
Everything's moving around through the process.
Everything's going, exactly.
Okay. So this looks more like a commercial application or a large yacht product.
Yeah, this would be what we call our mixer tanks. A
Uh-huh.
lot of people call them shower cans or something like that. But
Okay.
basically, this is the part where we're injecting water
It's where the water goes to the
to
exhaust.
cool the exhaust gases.
Okay.
So you'll see a lot of this going on.
All right. Well, we saw that on the Caterpillar engines in the engine room of the Hargrave.
Exactly.
And as Brian had said at that time, that's where the engine manufacturer stops and where the exhaust manufacturer takes over.
Exactly. So if you called us and said, hey, I got a Caterpillar such and such engine and a Hargrave, we would have the design for the shower can or mixer tank that you need for that application.
Okay. And it starts with the raw material.
That's right. Everything will start with our engineered drawings. We'll
Okay.
either deal with the boat builder directly,
Okay.
or the captain of the boat that just wants to swap out his exhaust system.
Okay.
Everything will start from flat metal. Here we have our parts cutting in our machine shop area. Well, they'll take that flat metal and turn it in to the 3D stuff that we need to fabricate an exhaust system.
Well, I think we've actually got some parts over here that we've started to manufacture. So it gives you a sense of the process. The first thing after it's a flat piece of metal,
Sure.
you said that we cut it out with the plasma and stamp it,
Sure. So based again off the drawing, the engine package, whatever they want,
right?
we'll find different elbow sizes. So this will be a flat piece of metal. Imagine like a triangle.
Right?
We'll stick it in our dies to press, and you'll get two shapes like this.
Okay.
Cut off the excess,
Okay.
and you're left with the two parts like that.
Right?
That will get
Weld
welded
them up, and
together.
now we got an elbow.
You got an elbow.
Okay.
So, based off the drawing, the fabricator is going to need certain sizes. That's what happens here.
And everyone's going to be different for
Exactly.
every different boat because space is at a premium.
Yep.
We're trying to move hot gases and water out through a tight space as efficiently as possible without creating too much back pressure.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay.
A lot of custom, a lot of one-off. We do deal with the OEM manufacturers as well, where it's the same system over and over. This would be a good example right here.
Okay.
This is for the U.S. Coast Guard. We do all the rapid response
So
cutters.
you do a lot of military
So-
work as well.
Here's two sets of it. Again, we'll start with a drawing.
Okay.
All the parts have been cut, formed, and prefabricated and ready for our fabricators.
Okay.
So this is an existing order. Every couple of months, the same one. We've built fixtures, we've built jigs so that everyone is the same.
So these are all the cut parts, carted up, and ready to
Correct.
go into the production department.
Correct.
So let's head over to production and see what they do with all that.
Exactly.
All right. So here we've got some pipe that's already cut for straight sections that you're going to need.
That's right.
In the process.
Yep, we got Francis here, our workhorse. He's going to look at the drawings and he's going to see the sizes that the fabricator will need.
You've got different diameters of pipe on the bench, and that goes right up into the big bandsaw.
Yep.
Cuts you down to the sections you need, and then we'll weld elbows onto those straight pieces to make the twists and turns that we need to make.
That's exactly right. So now what
Okay.
you're starting to see is everything that's been already formed and prefabbed is ready to go into fabrication. So, each job will be a cart. Again,
Okay.
he's got the drawings, he's got all the pieces he needs to make it. And
So
in this
looks
case,
like a reference part.
this is what we call a same as sample deal.
Okay.
Captain brings us this, says, hey, I need a new one. We'll take it, we'll build a jig, we'll get all the target points, we'll take it out of the jig, and then we'll
So
make
that's going
our...
to go there, and then those two elbow pieces are going to go there, and then we've got some straight pipe there. And
start it.
we
Yep.
put it on a jig and weld it up.
Yep, you'll start to see how it'll take place.
Okay.
And we'll throw our little name tag in there. It's got all
Well,
the reference numbers we need or anything. If we ever 10 years down the line need to replace it.
So that's an interesting consideration right there. If you look on this tag, what you'll see is the reference number, and the reference number is something that we can refer back to 12, 15 years from now if the part starts to corrode or fail, which it does in a saltwater environment. All we do is call, give them the number, they reference the drawings, they make up another part.
Yep.
Excellent.
Makes it a lot
And
easier.
everyone's got its own serial number.
Sure.
Incredible.
So we'll go into the fab department. I'll show you where they keep
Okay,
all
this
this
is where we
stuff.
weld it all up and start putting things together.
Keenan, legal considerations are of particular interest to me because that is my area of study. And I know you were telling me there were some new laws out there, some new regulations. What are you doing to comply with those? And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes. So they've come out with the IMO Tier 3 regulation, which is forcing at the boat builder level to put an after treatment on the main engines and the generators. And basically to take the soot out of the system and to put some kind of an after treatment that changes the NOx that actually leaves the exhaust. And there's two different systems. There's a diesel particulate filter, which they call a DPF, and there's an SCR, which is the selective catalyst reduction. So those come in two types. There's a active system, which we have here on the screen, and then there's a passive system, which let's see, this one right here, that's a passive system. So a passive system has no computer hooked to it. It's just a large, very large unit takes up a lot of space in the engine room, especially on a main engine. It's almost the size of the engine, so it's real difficult to retrofit many of these boats with this kind of a system. So basically the exhaust goes in, the soot's captured inside a filtration, and then the exhaust leaves. And then as the filters fill up, these little doors here, you can take and unbolt them, pull the filters out, and clean them.
Okay.
And put them back in.
How often would a filter like that need to be changed?
It depends on the running of the engine. There's real no time frame. It depends on how much they use the boat.
Okay.
Come on, you guys, try to keep up. There's a lot to see here.
Yeah, here we're going to go into where our magicians are, our top fabricators. These guys are really top notch, and I'll show you. They're going to grab a cart, whatever's ready to go, and they'll start making the system.
What's the average experience for your guys here in the production area?
Our top fabricators, some have been here for 20 years, some have been since the very beginning. There's a very few amount of really good fabricators, and we like to keep them here at all costs.
Guys have run a lot of beads, haven't they?
Yeah.
Incredible. So we got more reference parts and components that are getting ready to go into production.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll walk through. If you have any questions or anything?
All right.
Might want to show this right here. You can see.
Can't look at the well.
Yeah, so
here's a part that's on a jig. Tell us what's going on here with this one, Justin.
Right, so this was similar to the one we saw out there where it's going to be a same as sample.
Okay.
Somebody has their old riser, wanted us to inspect it. We found leaks and said, hey, do you want to replace it or do you want to repair it? In this case, they wanted to replace it. We've assembled all the parts along with the original sample. The fabricator here is going to go off the drawing, build his fixture, identify the target points. He'll then remove the sample and start building the new one in the same jig.
Exactly the same as the old
ensure that
one.
everything comes out the same.
Okay, so would you call that jigged up?
That is jigged up, yeah.
Okay.
So he's taking all the critical measurements that he needs now. Once he has everything set, he'll take the part out and build the new one in the jig.
And then he's going to position his components as he puts them together at whatever angle they need to be exactly the same as that one there.
Exactly right, right. Again, all of it will be based off the engine room layout, the engine, gallons per minute, back pressure, all that has to be taken into consideration.
All those calculations are done in engineering.
Correct.
And it looks like that one used to have hard coat on it, so that's something else we'll get a chance to peek at.
Yeah, we can talk about the
line.
insulation, sure.
Okay. All right.
There's a few different things we offer. We can do our black hard coat, which is a proprietary thing, permanent insulation. We also have thermal blankets, or we can make a water-cooled system.
Well, we'll get to those in just a minute, because some of that's old school, although there have been improvements, and then some of it's new technology.
Sure. So we got another example here. If you want to take a look here, we got Jock fabricating a piece right here.
There's the wizard behind the curtain now.
Right. Same deal going on. This is the same as sample, a little bit longer piece. But again, he's got the sample in the jig. He's got the permanent fixture now. Take target points. He'll remove it, put the new one in and build.
So now he can reproduce the exact same product. So when it ships to the boat, they can literally bolt it up. It fits exactly as the original part did, and they're back in business with fresh components.
Exactly right. And then what you were alluding to earlier, once it's all fabricated and fully welded, we'll need to insulate this.
Okay.
Because you could have anywhere up to 1,000-degree gases going through there.
Sure.
You don't want to be touching that, especially in an engine room.
Absolutely not. People are in the engine room. Well,
Yeah.
let's see where we do that.
Sure.
Here we've got some other components that are already welded up and ready.
Right, here's some.
So that's just a simple elbow.
Yeah, these are stock parts for Cummins.
Okay.
We'll prefab them and we'll put them in the stock room.
All right, bolts right up to the turbo and the exhaust. The remainder of the
exactly
exhaust
right.
housing goes right there.
And so everything that we do before it leaves, we'll get pressure checked to ensure all the welds are fully penetrated, and we'll also give it an acid bath to take away all the impurities and make the metal last longer.
Okay.
So this is what the finish looks like right out of the acid bath, and then we'll clean them up here based
Does
on
that
the
have
finish.
to go back in the acid bath after my fingerprints were on it?
No, I don't think you're that corroded yet.
Okay. You don't know me well.
All right. Okay, so on this system, this is an active system. It has a computer control that basically monitors the usage of the boat, meaning how, if they're turning on hot water heaters, refrigerators are running, lights are going on and off. So this acts like a load bank. It brings more juice onto the generator, so the generator is running at peak all the time. and so the filter itself is capturing all of that soot, and as it captures that soot, the temperature is rising and rising, and it regenerates the filter, and that burns off all of the soot. And so they're able to monitor the back pressure of the engine. So if it starts to see a high back pressure, you're able to go readjust the computer control to make that happen more often.
Okay.
And so that's basically how that works, and you get clean emissions.
Okay.
Good for the environment.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, the passive system has the filter, and then an active system doesn't have a filter?
The active system has a heater
Okay.
and the filter.
I see.
The
Okay.
heater is what's causing the gases to raise to a temperature where that filter can regenerate, meaning it just burns off
Okay.
all of those soots. The passive system is just a filter can, and
I
it
see.
collects soot.
Okay, so does the active system's filter need to be changed like the passive system?
It could if it's not run correctly. That's why there's a back pressure reading in there that allows you to make sure that that system can be adjusted depending on the generator. They all run differently. It could last 7-8 years depending on how it's run. So it's a lot more maintenance friendly. Whereas the other one it has to be changed. The passive one has to be changed.
Okay.
And the other system that's out there is an SCR, and that's basically where you're injecting a chemical into the path of the gas, which causes a chemical reaction and makes the exhaust cleaner.
Okay.
And that basically back here is where the chemical will be injected, and then inside it there's filters that it goes through and it comes out clean.
Well, Justin, let's go in and look at, using the new technologies that are available today, how we insulate the exhaust systems so that people don't get burned in an
Right.
engine.
Yeah, because you can have up to 1,000-degree gases going through there.
Right?
You want to make sure you're protected there when you're in the engine room and you're keeping everything cool. So what we
And
do
this
here,
is so much cleaner and nicer installation too. I remember in the engine room, you didn't want to touch this, you didn't want to touch that. This is really, really crisp and clean.
yeah, we have our proprietary hard coat finish that we
Okay.
like. It's a permanent hard coat that will stay on. It's not removable like those old blankets, but it really performs great and it's really durable.
So you can't take an old exhaust system down to the Mediquick and just have him put a cast on.
No. So
It's a little different than
yeah, a little different. What they're doing is they're prepping it for the hard coat, and
Okay.
I believe we actually have some pieces ready from earlier. So I can show you what that looks like. But once they have all these materials on, they'll cure it in the oven,
Okay.
and then you'll have pieces that come out like this. And again, this is really hard stuff. This is stuff NASA uses on rockets they send up, so it'll hold a lot of heat and it's real durable.
And at this point, it's ready to go to the boat.
It's ready to
We
just
go
fit
up front
right
to
in.
shipping, and out it goes.
That's right.
Incredible. Tell you what, let's do. I think Keenan and Heather are talking about the new compliance issues. Why don't we head that way, and we'll let them take over.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Follow us. We'll go back into the conference room. I believe they're set up.
Okay, great.
I really had no idea that exhaust systems were this complicated. And just coming as an outsider looking in, I didn't think that an exhaust company would be one that is environmentally friendly, but I'm learning that that's quite the opposite.
Yes, it's charged us with the responsibility to come up with a system that can treat the exhaust coming out of a boat. It's not something that's easy to do, but it has to be done. So, with these different systems, it gives every boat an option, depending on their capability to run the system to, actually treat their exhaust that's coming out of their boat to make it environmentally friendly.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the whole point of these new regulations and the
Yes.
compliance, I guess, is to ensure that we have, an ocean to enjoy for generations to come.
Amazing facility. I
Very
mean, it's interesting to see the logic of the flow, how we go from raw material to pre-production parts, to production, to post-production, and then shipping. And
Yes.
it makes a ton of sense. And here you've got, this looks like the blankets from old school.
Right. These are those old school blankets, the thermal blankets.
Okay. But we're using new materials,
Right.
very much the same as the old. No more asbestos.
No more asbestos.
I
yeah.
like that. Okay.
So here's where they'll build it, and they'll wrap it around the exhaust parts, and it would be rather than the hard coat, you can get thermal blankets.
Okay. All right, great.
So looking at these on the screen, it's difficult to visualize how big of a system this is. Is it a big system or is it smaller than I might think?
So this is a generator. It's about 2 feet by 4 feet by maybe 6 feet long.
Okay.
And this gives you an idea of how big this unit would be to fit around this generator. On a main engine, you have the engines are probably 4 feet by 6 feet by 8 feet of space.
So a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So the unit that would go on that engine is about the size of the engine. So that's why they're trying to get this through the regulations in at the boat builder level.
I see. So I know engine rooms are built obviously to be as small, compact, and efficient as possible. So I guess it would be tough to add this system on after the fact.
Yes, the space requirement is big considering everything's already been built and everything's already in place. So in the event that they're not able to fit this unit in there, then they would be grandfathered in and be able to, operate their boat as is.
Okay.
What an amazing shop. Unbelievable what they build out there. Did you guys talk about how big these after systems are?
We actually
Yeah.
were just talking about that. I'd love to see one. Can we
There's
take a
one
look?
out front. Let's go take a peek.
I
at
would
it.
love that. Let's go.
Okay.
Brain not ready to explode yet with all the...
A lot of information. A lot of information. It's amazing the technology that's required in order to comply with new regulations. But the reality of it is we've got laws we have to comply with, but they're there for the right reason.
Absolutely.
We really need to be more environmentally responsible as we go forward because, as I think you guys probably talked about, that's the only way we're going to ensure a future of yachting is to do things the proper way. So this is a DPF?
Yeah, here we have a mock-up of a DPF, what you saw in there. Basically, again, if you want to look at the size, this would represent the generator. So this
Okay.
will just go right on top of the generator. The gases come in, here's the heater section,
Okay.
there's the filter section, and then out.
So this is the active system, I think, that they talked
This is an
about,
active
right?
DPF unit, correct.
Okay, so the computer controls the load on the generator through the heating element, which raises and lowers
Right.
the load.
Because as this filter is catching all the soot accumulates, you're going to get higher back pressure because the gas can't go through, so we need to regenerate. If this generator is not running as high as it should, the heater will kick on and raise the exhaust temperatures so that it will automatically regenerate itself. So it's just a working system,
Okay.
actively removing the soot.
And then there's also another system, I think, where you have to inject chemicals, correct?
Right. That would be the SCR, which I believe you guys were going over there. And if this is how this system is, multiply it by 10, and that's how big an SCR system is. Now you can see the challenges the boat builders and the OEM manufacturers are having trying to put these in boats that are already out there.
Right. Well, you've got to completely re-engineer the thought process behind your interior spaces, because what we've done is we've tried to utilize as much interior for hotellery and for living and for enjoyment and not take up a
Exactly.
bunch of engine room space. Now we've changed the equation completely.
Yeah, the engine room size that's not going to sell the boat.
No,
It's
it's
kind of
not.
like an afterthought. So yeah, that's the challenges that everybody's facing now.
Well, this is the world we live in going forward.
Yep.
Guys, I can't thank you enough. This has been an amazing tour. I'm sure you learned a lot out of it.
Absolutely. Way over my head, but I learned a lot. So thank you, Keenan.
Well, I love the technical aspects of all this stuff. So seeing the floor and seeing how all the components are assembled from a flat sheet of stock up to a finished product with hard coat and ready to go out the door has been fascinating to me.
Awesome.
Thanks very much again for the help, Keenan and Justin. We're going to cut to a break. After a commercial, we'll be back.
Yacht Engineering Week 2021 has been made possible by Pantropic Power, the only authorized Caterpillar Power Systems dealer in South Florida. Florida Nautical Surveyors, your complete solution to all of your vessel surveying needs. And Robert Allen Law, exclusively dealing with the business of yachting. We would also like to thank Quantum Stabilizers, AME Solutions, DeAngelo Exhaust, MPI Marine Professionals Incorporated, Concord Marine Electronics, Lauderdale Marine Center, Marine Data, Isotropic, Dockmate, and Murray Ventilation Products. Thank you for joining us this year. We'll see you in 2022.